Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I am Abe with MysticGenMara.com, a small town mystic from the middle of Idaho. And today I just kind of want to do a review of a book that ties into a previous video I did, which was discussing fitness and spirituality. How there's a way to bring the two together, and today there's another book that I didn't reference in that video. And it's one that I don't practice as much as I should. I'll be 100% honest with you about that. And it's called Golden Elixir Qigong, or Qigong, depending on who you talk to. There we are. And what this is it's talking about cycling your qi, your saliva, and the hormones and nutrients that are in your mouth primarily through the rest of your body. There is some metaphysical part of this. That's why I'm bringing it up with that preamble. But the cool thing about this is it's not just simply meditation practices. It's a physical movement. They introduce, first of all, the parts of the mouth, which is pretty interesting because the different glands, because you have more than just salivary glands in your mouth, there's several more. And they go over in the introduction in the first few pages. This isn't a very long book. It's only 125 pages. So you can literally, if you want to just read through it, you can do it in an afternoon. But they go over the different types of elixirs that the body itself can produce. And it's the saliva elixir. There's your saliva mixed with your hormones. There's a way to actually trigger a hormonal release that actually will make it into your mouth in the book, metaphysically speaking, of course. I mean, there's probably, if one were to dig, there's probably some scientists in, especially Asia, that have been researching this, because most of the stuff that I found with acupuncture, acupressure, shiatsu, and the Tai Chi or Qigong actually have a lot more physical responses. So I'm saying metaphysical because it's beyond our physical knowledge, but I have a feeling it's only a matter of time before science catches up. So you have the your basic hormones in your body, but you also have the sexual hormones that you can trigger this elixir into. There's the essence of nature version, then there's the cosmic, which is you're bringing in stellar energy from the planets and from the sun. Then there's the universal essence, which is you're bringing in divine connection essence. And you can find those on page 12 if you're interested. I'm trying to include some of the pages so that you can find the stuff easier. Then on page 18, they go through the process, and the initial process, I will say, is primarily a seated process. You don't have to be moving around too much. But it's bringing yourself into a calm state, a grounded state, really tapping into that alpha brain where you're settled more in your, the monkey mind is shut up, and you're more calm and centered. And you have the upper mind, which sits about the area of your third eye, but they call it the upper mind. You have the middle mind, which sits about your heart, and then the lower mind sits just below the belly button and about 2 to 3 kun, and a kun is a finger width, into your body. So that's where in a lot of the Chinese and Qigong energy, that's called the lower dantian as well, and it's the seat or the anchor of all of the energy of your body. So you really want to bring that energy field into its highest form. And so they go over that area. They call it the lower mind because that works for what they're doing in this book, because this is an introduction to it. So you're not going, I mean, you can learn a lot and you can get the process started. Once you get it going, there's some intuition that comes along where you're like, oh, so this is the next step. You can figure out how to build on it. And then they also have a Montauk Chia has a group that you can follow. I think you can join if it's still available. Can't find it right now. But you go through a process of awakening each mind individually. So there's an exercise to awaken your upper mind. There's an exercise to awaken the middle mind. There's bringing your ears and your hearing down through your body as you're going, because the ears in Qigong practice actually have a connection to the kidneys. So there's a process of, working those two simultaneously. Then the important part about most martial arts, especially the energetic arts, Tai Chi, Qigong, and then the Golden Elixir practice, is the practice of lifting your tongue from where it rests in the bottom of your jaw, connecting it to, there's a spot just behind these front two teeth, and you can check it right now. There's like a little line, and there's a teeny bump. You'll feel it, just a little bump. Most everybody has it, and when you're sleeping, that tends to want to connect there anyway, because that's the cycle your body produces. And then they talk about in here that it's a natural thing to touch that point, and they show sleeping babies, tend to naturally pull their tongue to that roof of their mouth, and it's before the cave of your mouth, so it's before it goes up. There's just behind their teeth, there's a flat spot, but there's a little ridge right between where your teeth are, and there's a little bump on there. And so what you're doing is you're pushing your tongue against that point, and they call it the heavenly pool. And when you push there, it's not like you're going to notice something instantly. You could, but it's basically connecting a circuit, because you have a circuit that comes up from your perineum, just behind the genitals, up around the back, along the spine, over the top of your head, and comes down to this point. You also have one that starts at this point that connects into your tongue, that goes down to the front and connects into the front part of your perineum. So when you do what they call an energy lock, it's when you clench that area and you're sealing the lower channel, so that you're connecting a circuit basically. But if you don't put your tongue behind your teeth in that one little spot, you're not getting the full connection, and that's when you start cycling this energy, this golden elixir chi that they talk about. And then there's a meditation where you're breathing in a specific pattern, which is typical of this type of energy work. And you have places on your feet that become vacuums. There's places on your hands that become vacuums, bringing that energy in. And the process is surprisingly simple, but it takes, in this book, because there's a bunch of diagrams, and they full disclosure, there's a little bit of cartoonish style nudity, because they do show on male bodies and on female bodies, because of our anatomy. There's a little bit of difference between how the body connects at certain points with this energy system. It's not drastically different, but I don't want to show some of those images just because, like I said, it's cartoonish nudity. But then they go over the different cycle. Like the front part of your body here is a cooling channel. The back part, coming up this direction, over here, it's more of the more aggressive, more fiery energy. And as you're building this energy cycle, you're working this saliva-based elixir. And you're learning in the first page 18 to 34, you're learning how to sit down and do this in a quiet way, learning the pattern, building the consciousness within it. Then you move on to different massages triggering different glands. That's where you start triggering hormones, some of your sexual hormones, and that's within the body. So you're activating your body's natural energy system that produces energy. Then on the third chapter, you go into how to bring excess energy in, how to draw energy out of the universal battery, so to speak. And then from there, you start getting into a little bit more movement, a little bit more active practice, and that's when you really start to work into anchoring this energy into your lower dantian, your lower mind, your middle mind, and your higher mind. This is where this energy is working in. And then you get into the physical exercises, and these, once you've done the basic practices, the seating practices, and starting to draw the energy in, It's called Chapter 4, the 12 Elixir Qigong Practices. These are active movements once you've done the other to really amplify that energy channels. And you build energy up. You bring it up the spine. You anchor it, pull it over the top, but as you're pulling it over, they have a visualization that involves drawing down the stellar energy and the divine energy into this top point. And so you're pulling that down to the front, and then you're drawing it down into that lower mind. And I'm not going into extreme detail, but there are ways to do this. There's different mudras, as I talked about in a previous video, which, by the way, if you haven't checked that out, it's worth it just so you can learn more of these movements and some of the deeper meanings behind the hand yoga, hand poses. And there's, of course, with any Asian meditation, there's breathing exercises. So you're breathing up on one direction, you're breathing in, then you're exhaling. Somewhat forcefully at others. And eventually you get to this point where you're scooping chi from earth, and then you're pulling it down through your crown, and it's a physical exercise. And they do, like, this exercise is called Looking Back at the Moon, and I love the artwork that they do. Oops. And they show you up close pictures of how the hands should be held, and kind of the visualizations that you can use to help put it in practice. Once you get this down, and I'm not great at this yet, I still have to look at the pictures. Once you start getting it down, you can start really processing that energy, and it does an amazing thing. When I've done this, you really notice a jolt almost of energy when you start to bring in the cosmic excess energy, especially. But it also, to me anyway, it enhances meditation. And if you're just starting out in meditation, or if this is something you've been doing for a while, starting to building that golden chi elixir in the beginning, and even practicing some of the standing positions that go along with it, are ways to draw that energy in, and it helps quiet that active aspect of your mind and allows you to bring a little bit more focus into your meditations. And then they go through the final section that I like, is the golden elixir and chi circulation. So then they go through a process of when is the energy in your body at a certain location. So it's actually set on the time frame of where your energy is in your body, set on the hour of the day. For example, the Tian Hisin, the third eye, the middle eyebrow section, the energy sits there primarily between 7 and 9 a.m. The Shan Ken, which is just between the eyes, so your third eye is here, this one's down here, there. And it is between 5 and 7. And they go through this time period so you can actually understand where your energy is along this channel in any hour of the day, because sometimes the energy will collect in a spot, and that's when you get that like shoulder ache at a certain time of the day, or something will trigger a headache because there's all this energy rush in one spot. And it's a way to help break it up and circulate it better is when you know where it's at to start with. And then you go through, again, there's more exercises in here that he goes through to help you understand where the energy is and how to move it. And yes, they do still have their in the back of the book, there's the Universal Tao System and Training Center, and this one is in Thailand, but there's a website in here as well, so if you're interested in that, you can check that out. But basically, this is a way to help bring a physical practice, Tai Chi or Qigong, into a spiritual realm, because you're bringing the energy field that you're working with, the Qi, Prana, ether that you're working with, in the physical practice of Tai Chi and Qigong, you're bringing it in through this exercise, and you're helping your body process it. Because just because you're bringing the energy in doesn't mean you're doing anything with it. And a lot of the time that I've seen anyway, is people know how to bring it in, but they don't know how to cycle it, or they know how to cycle it but they don't know how to enhance it. And this book kind of brings the two together. It's not comprehensive by any means. I will be 100% honest with that. There's some things that I've learned over the years just because of knowing this and then adding to it from studying Tai Chi, studying Qigong, which I'm way more interested in Qigong just as a it resonates more with me. Tai Chi is great, I'm not saying that, but if that works, study the Tai Chi and study those practices and use this as an enhancement to it. And I won't guarantee, but I'll say that there's a very high likelihood that you'll notice a difference. So with that being said, I will hop off here. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like. If this is something that you're interested in, like I said, check out the links below and see if it's something that you find interesting. And otherwise, I will talk to you guys in a future video, and have a great rest of your week.